This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you with another installment of What You Need to Know. And today we're going to ask the question, are the terms Mr. and Mrs. considered potentially offensive? Well, Service Canada seems to think so. We're also going to take a look at what's been going on with Facebook as their stock continues to plummet, yet miraculously CEO Mark Zuckerberg seems to have been selling off his shares in the lead up to this. Coincidence? And last but not least, we're going to take a look at Trudeau's new anti-gun bill, C-71, and expose it as the horrendous, terribly crafted bill that it is that needs to be rejected, lock, stock, and barrel. And kicking things off today, just when you thought the Canadian government couldn't be any more ridiculous when it comes to their position on being gender neutral, Service Canada are now the latest tools in the shed here who are completely ignoring science, biology, and basic common sense when it comes to the fact that there are only two genders. And this should not be considered offensive to say so. As if changing the lyrics to Canada's national anthem from "In All Our Sons" command to "In All of Us" command wasn't bad enough. As if Trudeau's "people kind" comment wasn't a slap in the face to reality. And if you think that feminist SJW was kidding, think again. Well, now we have Service Canada lowering the bar even further, as they have just announced their newest initiative to stop using gender-specific terms like mother, father, and Mr. and Mrs. Oh my God, let me off of this ride. I need an adult. According to a directive issued to managers and team leaders, employees of Service Canada have been asked to stop using gender-inclusive language to avoid, quote, portraying a perceived bias towards a particular sex or gender. Workers have also been asked to stop using the terms mother and father in favor of parent. Defending this in a tweet, Canada's Families, Children and Social Development Minister Jean-Yves Duclos said, "Let us be clear. Service Canada will continue to use Mr. and Mrs. when interacting with Canadians. We are only confirming how people want to be addressed as a matter of respect." Really? How about you respect science and basic biology? How about you stop kowtowing to the trans and LGBT communities who have clearly lost their mind when it comes to enforcing the policing of our language? And how about we stop falling in line to these demands out of fear of offending a few snowflakes who are really just virtue signaling in an embarrassing attempt to silence their critics? But no, it's the current year, don't you know? As Jean-Yves Duclos puts it, "We are proud that Service Canada reflects the diversity of Canada's population and is working to adapt to the reality of 21st century families." Yeah, well, the reality is there are only two genders, male and female. I can't believe it's considered controversial today to even say such a thing. Yes, hermaphrodites do exist, but that's not what we're talking about here. What we're dealing with is a very slippery slope that's leading towards destructive policies and actual laws being implemented that go directly against nature itself and humanity in general. If, for example, you are a man who wants to be referred to as a woman, and you fight and you lobby and you dedicate your life to having everyone forcefully accepting of your delusion, well, when someone comes along who wants to identify as a cat, or a leprechaun, or a toaster for that matter, that person's going to say, well, who am I to say that that's not generally healthy for society to accept? And lo and behold, we've gone from trans to cisgender to non-binary, genderqueer, and gender fluid. I mean, where does this end? And don't get me wrong, I don't care what you want to identify as. You can think that you're this imaginary non-binary person, or a unicorn for all that matter. But don't expect the rest of society to lower the bars of reality so that you don't have hurt feelings. I'm sorry to have to reiterate this for you, but the facts don't care about your feelings. And I know a bunch of people are going to be all up in arms today for me saying this, saying, how dare he? How could he say that? But I don't care anymore. It's time we stop tiptoeing around these issues out of fear of being offensive, because the truth matters. In case you haven't noticed, that's something I'm very interested in. And on that note, I'd like to say, please check out this video I did with Theryn Meyer, a trans woman who's not afraid to stick to the facts, in my video titled Transgender Logic with Theryn Meyer. A link will be located in the description below. And moving on to our second story for today, Facebook has recently taken a massive hit to their portfolio, as news is spreading like wildfire about the Cambridge Analytica data mining and political targeting scandal. According to SFGate, the company has been hit with 4 suits in federal courts so far this week, following fresh revelations about how Facebook's app permissions were abused to surreptitiously suck out vast amounts of user data. This news should come as no surprise to viewers of this channel, because we've been warning for years that Facebook is really just a government tracking tool masquerading as a social media platform. But what you may not have known is the fact that before this understanding reached mass adoption, CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, has been making his exit, selling off tons of his shares to the tune of around $500 million. According to Reuters, Zuckerberg sold nearly 500 million Facebook stock in February. Facebook Inc. Chief Executive Officer Mark Zuckerberg sold nearly 500 million in the company's shares in February to fund his philanthropic investment vehicle, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, regulatory filings have shown. It seems he's following in the footsteps of Microsoft's Bill Gates, who, along with his wife, founded the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And also billionaire investor Warren Buffett, who founded the Buffett Foundation, both of which are really just eugenics programs hiding behind a curtain of philanthropy. Hashtag delete Facebook has been trending on Twitter as more and more people are starting to realize that it's Big Brother who's in control over there, and perhaps it's time to escape. The good news today, ladies and gentlemen, is that there is an alternative platform that I fully support and strongly encourage everyone migrate their way over to, and that platform is called Steemit.com. Steemit is a revolutionary social media platform that's built on blockchain technology, and it pays you to post. Folks, this is the answer to your Facebook problems, and you can follow me there at steemit.com/@pressfortruth. A link will be located in the description below. And last but not least, a new anti-gun piece of legislation known as Bill C-71 is targeting Canada's most vetted citizens, and it needs to be rejected lock, stock, and barrel. First of all, there are over 2.1 million licensed gun owners here in Canada who are not only peaceful, law-abiding citizens, but they've had to bend over backwards to the government simply for their fundamental right to self-preservation. Do you know what it takes to become a licensed gun owner here in Canada? Allow me to lay it out for you. You have to take a course, you have to pass an extensive background check, you have to reveal your conjugal partners over the last 2 years, you have to receive written consent from your spouse if you have one, and you have to provide 2 personal references, all of whom will be interviewed. And all of you will be subjected to the CPIC, the Canadian Police Information Centre, every single day for as long as you hold that license, which basically amounts to you being investigated by the police on a daily basis. So needless to say, Canadians are some of the most vetted gun owners in the world, and what I just mentioned barely even scratches the surface. Bill C-71 seeks to amend certain acts and regulations in regards to firearms to try to minimize gang-related violence. But the truth is, it does nothing of the sort. I've read the bill, and all it does is restrict even further already law-abiding, heavily vetted licensed gun owners in Canada. I mean, since when do criminals follow the rules? Making things more difficult for already law-abiding gun owners in Canada is not going to stop the criminals from obtaining a gun. This is beyond counterproductive. This bill, for example, proposes to amend the ATT, or the Long-Term Authorization of Transport. So if a licensed gun owner, for example, needs to take his gun into a repair shop to have it serviced, he would have to put in a request with the Canadian Firearms Program. He would then need approval from what's called the Firearms Senate, and he would need written permission hand-delivered to the shop owner each and every single time. How exactly is that supposed to change the behavior of criminal gang members who could care less about the law? This bill would also bring back 2/3 of the long gun registry, something that Canadians were promised would never happen, but here we are. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, this bill does nothing to deal with the issues of criminal gang members getting their hands on a gun, but rather it further hinders law-abiding Canadian citizens and their ability to obtain a gun for self-preservation, and that's why it needs to be rejected, lock, stock, and barrel. 3 years ago, I had the president of the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, Rod Giltaca, on my weekly live show that I had at the time to talk about these issues. I titled the video, "The Future of Canadian Gun Laws, PFT Live with Rod Giltaca," and I must say, we called it to a T. We warned Canadians what the Liberals had in store here, but you didn't listen. You just didn't listen. Well, I hope you're listening now, because if this bill passes, you can basically kiss your guns goodbye. And that's not an exaggeration. Mark my words. So I don't even know what to say anymore, ladies and gentlemen. This country is clearly falling apart. And tomorrow I'm going to attend a couple of rallies that are going on in Vancouver to try to talk some sense into these reactionary activists. So stay tuned for that. So that'll do it for today, my friends. If you like this video, please share it, because it's literally crunch time on all fronts. And of course, we can't do this without your continued support. So I want to thank anyone who has ever contributed to PFT by either donating at pressfortruth.ca/donate or by joining as a PFT member or a PFT patron. You guys rock, and I love you for it. So thanks for watching, guys. Click on that like button, leave a comment, and share this video. And stay tuned, because we've got more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth.